guys. So hi everyone. Welcome to lesson 7 of the Southville Arduino course. My name is Rex and today we're going to be going over buttons, servos, and we're going to be looking at C++ functions again with the include statement. All right. So just for reference, everyone will remember this is what the Arduino board looks like with the digital pins, analog pins, etc. Your breadboard, this is how it's wired up. Okay, and we're just going to review this functions because we're going to be talking about this later on. So a function has a return type. This could be like an int, a char, a void. It has a function name, a parameter list, and then this is what gets called when you run the function. So the things in between the curly brackets. And we use functions so we don't have to keep repeating code over and over again. Okay, so today we're going to be going over two things, push buttons and servos. So let's start with a push button. So a push button only works, the circuit only works when you press the button. And so when it's not pressed, you'll see that current is not really passing through. So this is the not press, so current's not able to pass through the button. But when it's pressed, then current can flow from the button to here as so. So we're actually able to use a button, and when we press it, that's the only time current can flow through the button. Okay, so we're going to be demoing how a button works shortly. So this is our sample circuit showing a button. So when current is pressed, so when you press the button, the current can actually flow from here to there, and there will also be current here. So we're going to actually read the current on from pin 5. So when it is unpressed, when you don't press it, the current is not flowing, but when you do press it, then the current does flow. So we're going to be able to read through that. So this is the code of our button. Very simple. We're going to digital read 5, and then we're just going to write that button value. So let's just have that, let's just get that started. So we're going to create a circuit. Okay. And then I'll call it push button circuit. So I'll just keep it simple, a push button circuit. So we're gonna again start with a breadboard, an Arduino Uno. Okay, and then we're going to wire a power rail. So we're gonna take the GND. I'll set that to red. 5 volts here. And then that goes there. And then we're gonna wire a ground rail. I'll use black. Okay. So now we're gonna get a push button over here. Here we're gonna get a push button. I'm gonna drag it to say row number 5 or so. Okay, so that's on column 5. And then we're going to wire this up as such. So I'm gonna connect a power line to this. Okay. And from the Arduino guide, they use a 10K resistor. So we're also going to be using a 10K resistor. From this dock, this is using a 10K ohm resistor. When you go to this tutorial guide, so we'll also use a 10K resistor. Okay, so we'll use a 10K resistor here. I'll flip it a bit. And then we're going to wire the ground. That back to ground. Okay, and then I'm gonna take an orange an orange wire, and I'm gonna wire it to digital pin 5. So this is our simple push button circuit. It's going to allow us to kind of read code. Yeah, that looks nice. So here, we'll start the code same as before. We're gonna create a variable, click variable, create variable called button value. Okay, and then we're gonna set button value will be reading digital pin 5. Let's move this a bit there. There you go. So set button value to read digital pin 5, and then we're just going to output button value. So that's going to be under variables, and that's our simple code. So let's put that away and let's click start simulation. Okay, so now when we look at the code, we'll click serial monitor. It's registering 0, but when I press the button, it suddenly registers 1. Actually, we have to add a delay. Let's go back. I'll click stop. I forgot to add a delay. So let's just put wait 1 second so it doesn't go too fast. Okay, now let's click start again. So if you notice, it's gonna output a 0. Then I'm gonna push. And it starts outputting a 1. Then I'm gonna let go. It starts outputting a 0. So this is our basic push button code. And so click stop simulation. We'll go to blocks from text so you could actually see very simple code, and that's the circuit board. Okay. So next we're going to be putting a servo, so you will actually be manipulating something. So actually, did I set this to 10k ohms? It's right now set to 1000 ohms, but in the Arduino tutorial they do say use a 10k ohms resistor. So now I just set it to 10k ohms. Okay, so now we're going to be going to servo motor. And a servo motor will have 3 pins. It will have a ground pin, a power pin, and a signal pin. The signal will be the thing that will tell it where to move. Basically, it can rotate from an angle from usually 0 to 180 degrees. So we can basically move it around. So it's it's like a small motor that can open and close doors, etc. Okay, so this is what a servo circuit will look like. Basically, we're just going to be connecting our servo to ground power, and then we're going to be connecting it to one of the digital pins. In this case, we're going to be using digital pin 2, and that will allow us to control the servo. And here's some basic code. We're going to be using button value. So if button value is greater than 0, I'm going to write 180 degrees. The servo will go to 180 degrees. Else, it will go back to its original position of 0. So this is the button value we read. So same as our original code, we're just going to add this new piece, which will help rotate the servo and show us how it works. Okay, so let's go back to this push button circuit. Now I'm going to add the name plus servo. So we're going to get a servo in, micro servo. Okay. Let's put it here, a little bit there. Okay. There you go. That looks nice. Okay, so first is the ground. We're going to wire the ground to our ground rail. So ground to ground rail over there. And then we're going to wire it to the power rail. So power, wire to the power rail. And then the signal, we're going to wire to pin 2. So we're going to take an orange label and just wire that to pin 2. And now we're ready to go. We'll just, oh, that's, I think, how do we make it look nicer? That's not that obvious. We'll just wire this properly so you could actually see the wires. Okay, there you go. That looks a bit nicer. Okay, now we'll start the code. Very simple. Okay, we'll go just to blocks, a bit bigger. All right, so now we're just gonna add an if then else. So same, we did conditionals before, and then we'll click math. Okay, and we'll do this. So if button val is greater than 0, then we're gonna rotate the servo. So rotate servo on pin number 2. You can see pin number 2 there. Else, so when it's pressed, it's gonna be rotating to 180 degrees. And then else, if the button value is off, it's gonna be rotating back to 0 degrees. So rotate on servo pin 2 back to 0 degrees. So let's check this out and then we'll review the code. All right, so let's click start simulation, put the code away. So if you see, this is pressing down and then I'll let go, goes back to 0, pressing down, and then it let go, it goes to 0. Pressing down, and then I'll let go, it goes back to 0. So this is a very simple mechanism that allows us to the servo to move when you press the button. Okay, so that's going to be the code behind it, and that's our Tinkercad demo. And then we could use these very simple tools to actually make things that start moving by knowing how buttons work and servos work. So that's the demo on Tinkercad. So you have the full piece of code, the circuit, buttons, and servos. And when we wire this, then in the next video, we're going to wire this in Arduino, and we're going to go over the additional C++ code you need to understand. So with that, thank you very much. And that's our video introducing you to servos and push buttons.